So.
Hi, everybody. We're just getting the phones going.
Hey, anyone? Oh, rotate your device. I did.
Oh, very good.
Is it going?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all in it. Yep.
Yep.
Hey, anyone watching mine? Hi. Tell me if the video is sideways or like horizontal or vertical. Like, does that make sense? I'm a little concerned about the video. Somebody said something. Is it Robert? I saw Robert was on.
Oh. You're sideways. Do it.
Hi, Ann.
I don't know how to
Oh,
rotate.
no, Jenny, just take the thing and turn it up
I'm
and
going
then
to.
turn it back.
Oh, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, well, do it. Nope, didn't work.
My phone, stinking. All right.
You know why?
Because
it's an Android.
Samsung sucks.
It's an Android phone.
So, all right, turn it around. Well, the problem is, I tried it, Sean, and it's not. I don't know. Today, my phone is deciding it doesn't want to go like horizontal with stuff. You know how like sometimes
Maybe you should sit here.
Samsung's like they decide to do things on their own.
Together.
So it's a problem. I'm on. It's all right. We can see.
TJ's kind of cut out. You gotta
Scooch in. I can move. Well, I can move it a little bit more sideways. It does too on iPhone. See, portrait only. You start. No, I didn't. I started with it horizontal, Robert, and it is deciding it doesn't want to do that today. So we just go with the flow because we're live.
We are live.
Do we have everybody?
I don't like my filter.
Change it. Change it.
No, I'm not gonna change it.
So, our
We look at
30 minute
Amanda.
one Wednesday is going to be 29 minutes of.
Yeah, we're starting a little bit later.
Well, we were so prepared with topics, and then I think we got so excited about that we forgot to actually set up.
We're like, oh,
Baby steps,
we have
people.
a topic. We don't
Can't
need
be
to
too
set
crazy. Cannot be too crazy.
Oh my goodness.
We used
I'm not
up
live.
all our stuff
Oh.
on just getting organized and getting topics.
Sorry about that, Wayne.
But cut
So-
out a hot mess.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers,
Oh,
everybody!
cheers.
Welcome to Wine Wednesday, year 2. This would be our first episode post the first year cycle, right?
Mhm.
Because last week was our 1 year anniversary. Now we are 1 year anniversary plus 1 week.
Well, it's my 1 year because I
Happy
started
1
with you
year.
guys on
There you go.
episode 2.
It's like my
After I helped you guys set up for the first one.
It's an anniversary all the way around. Jenny's birthday was yesterday. We're
Yes.
celebrating everything.
27.
27 yesterday. I'm getting old.
You
I'm
don't
not
look a
27.
day over 26.
I don't look a day over 27. 1 day over. Not really 27.
So what are you talking today, kids?
When is the best time
Best time to
to
list.
list your house?
That's it. That's it. So when is the best time to list?
So there's no bad time to list.
Yes.
So for those of you that were wondering,
But my thought from last year was the end of February seemed to be a really
Mhm.
hot time. The weather starts to change a little bit, and people start to get excited.
Yeah, I'm excited today. The sun is shining. It is 50-some degrees.
We're
Is
at
it
We're
we're
at
at
the
the
beach.
beach. Vámonos a la
I need
playa.
this sun on my forehead. Man, I should have layered up on the sunscreen.
I'm going to the beach next week.
Oh, braggart.
Poor me.
Are you going to be there on Wednesday or are you going to be here on Wednesday?
I am going to be here on Wednesday and then I am out Thursday.
Okay.
Vámonos a la playa.
Ooh, she's been studying.
I'm bilingual. Ish.
Ish.
I can say go to the beach. Let's go to the beach.
Is that Bob was hurry?
What?
I don't know. I took forever.
Anyways, we're way off topic here. So
That's weird.
that's just what we do.
That's weird.
But yeah, I agree. End of March or end of February, going into March, I think is an excellent time.
Mm-hmm.
And we just looked up, and Trulia says their online searches peak in March. So that's when the most buyers are getting their feet out in the market and starting to kick some tires around the houses.
Well, it's because we have a lack of inventory.
Well,
So-
there is that. for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I'll tell you too. I just wrote an offer on Friday, and it was multi-offer. And this is just a brand new 2018, brand new.
Just
and
like it
we're
was.
already hitting multi-offers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people, I mean, like Amanda said, there's really no bad time to list, but I feel like people sit around on, you know, like their holiday breaks and are bored because they're off of work and tired of being around the kids, and it's like
Right.
they're searching online and they're thinking about that stuff. So I really feel like right after the first of the year, the phone starts to ring a little more, you know, and
Yeah.
people are starting to think
Right.
about it.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
It seems to be picking up earlier and earlier too in the year. It used to be it wouldn't really until March,
Right.
like they said, and
well, I think people who tried last year,
I think there's so much competition
Yeah.
and, you know, interest rates.
Yep.
Everybody hears that interest rates are going up and they're going to continue to go up.
Right.
And so there's a lot of buyers out there. We need more listings.
yes, we
Need
Yeah.
more.
I think I looked today. I think they were just over 3,600. I think.
it's going
Active.
down, like it's going down.
In the Central Ohio
yeah,
West.
because they're all getting scooped up by the people
Right. Right.
starting to buy in January.
You know, and it's one of those situations where, once again, you've got to be ready.
Yeah.
You know, we've got one coming up about multiple offers and how to navigate that on both sides, I think. And, you know, like Jenny said, even in January, now you have to be ready for that multiple offer situation.
Right.
Days into it. So, okay, so as far as if a seller came to you, know, you're on your listing appointment or you're meeting with a potential seller, what would you say that when they said, you know, we've got some improvements to do, we want to do what, in your opinion, is ideal time for listing?
I mean, they need to be starting to think about those improvements now.
Right.
You know, because that stuff doesn't. Contractors are super busy. You know, so
Right.
getting that stuff coordinated and organized is going to
I
take
would
some
say
time.
just do the few improvements that you need to do, and then let's, you know, gear for end of February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and price accordingly. You know, if you need to.
If you don't want to do the improvements.
If you don't want to do the
Right.
improvements.
Sometimes they need to be
Yeah, sometimes
done.
it is.
Well, most times they need. to
You
be
really
done. It's
should
just
take
a
care of
matter
that giant hole in the wall.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you're gonna be. You know, when we come through the house, you know, I always feel like you're insulting people, but ultimately, you know, what we're telling you is for your greater good. You know, and helping you get more money, hopefully. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not personal. But.
And so in that time frame, you know, everybody sort of has their preferences. What do you sort of lay out for your folks on the process of like, okay, I like to do photos this day, to go up this day. Do you like to do delayed showings? So maybe let it sit on the market for a couple days before you start showings or schedule open houses. What do you guys do for your timelines?
Well, it depends on what type of, if they're in a hurry. You know, they say the best time to list is on Wednesday, so that way it gears people up and gets them ready to go in on the weekend. A lot of times we're seeing now with the competitive market that people are waiting until an open house on Sunday, and that's the first showings.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a horrible strategy.
I think
It's
so.
my personal opinion, but
Why?
Why?
to wait for showings on Sunday. Well, I mean, I understand why people do it for the convenience of the seller, right? Because if you're getting 20, 30 showings, it's hard for people to get out of the house.
Right.
But I think you're automatically eliminating people who can't come on Sunday. You know, whether people are going to church or they're going out of town for the weekend, I think you eliminate potential people.
But who's to say they couldn't go on the Monday?
Well, I guess
it's
it
got
is the thing is like
20
if you get
offers
the multiple
on
offers
Sunday,
on
yeah,
Sunday,
that's
then what
gonna
are you
be
going to
the-
do?
Well, right.
Keep it open until Monday?
Right.
I mean,
I saw that, you know, I just showed a house that it was showing started at the open house. And I mean, it just really creates that anxiety. So,
Oh, it totally does.
so many
As a
people
buyer's
that they had
agent, it
8
infuriates me,
offers.
but-
Yeah. Well, right. Well, but they had 8 offers and they were due on Monday at 6.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, they had plenty to choose from, and
You know,
that open house was
Yeah.
insane.
Well, my personal opinion, and I think we each have our own strategy, I think, in all of this. But you know, my personal opinion is you want to get, this is a numbers game. You want to get the most people you can to see your listing, to get them through the house, and as many offers as you possibly can get.
Right.
And the more, like if you list on Wednesday and maybe showings start on Thursday or something like that, and you give them Thursday and then offers are due Sunday night or Monday night or something, you've given people a range of days to go
Right.
look at that house.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gives more of an opportunity for
Right.
more people to get through.
Mhm.
And I understand why people do the Sunday
Yeah.
thing and
Right.
or whenever the open house is. Like,
I think it's nice to leave it open for a couple of days, just
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
people are like, oh my gosh, I have to go tonight, or I'm not going to get a chance to see it. So
I
at
feel
least
like-
gives them the time to plan
Yeah.
to see it.
there was a time I felt like open houses were a waste of time. But now I kind of feel like in this market, if you advertise that it's going to be open and you do that
Right.
and you wait
Mhm.
to accept offers until after the open house at least, I think a lot of people do schedule around coming to the open house. You know,
Right.
others may schedule at other times, but I think the open house almost becomes imperative, you know, for this to get the most number of people through.
I mean, for me, unless my folks are out of the house, I like to give them usually go up on Wednesday and then have showings start on Friday, because that gives people time to schedule them. Because and I've had some folks that have done this, like, we went live and started showings immediately, and then they just start getting showing requests, and my sellers feel panicked. They're like, well, I don't have any time to, you really plan out a schedule.
Well, I prep people for that.
Oh, I do too. I'm like, if we do this, you need to not be in the house. Like, you're just not going to be home for a couple days. But going up on Wednesday and starting showings on Friday, and then keeping them open through Sunday, if it's right for the client, I think is a good
That's
time.
what
And that goes all back to the personal.
Dana Mack said, good point, Wayne Henry. And then, to agree with the point you just made and you had made too. Go with what works for you and the clients.
Mhm.
It's personal. It's a personal decision.
Totally personal, yeah.
And what works for one won't work for the other.
Right.
And then that's something you discuss with your agent.
Right.
I mean, I've known people that are like, you know what, we're just going to go away for the weekend. And when I've been on the buy side, I've seen, the sellers are like, you know what, they're just going out of town. It's a go and show for this whole weekend,
Right.
which means that you really don't have to schedule it. It's there. You put it
It's
into the
just open.
service and it's open,
Yeah.
pretty much. But and those, I think, if a seller can do that, are really convenient for everybody, because it allows folks to get through. They don't have to wait, and there's no stress on the seller of like, are we going into the house, out of the
Right.
house? Is someone going to be there?
What do you feel about the delayed showing? I mean, what do you guys do? What do you think
What
about
do you mean?
delayed showings? Like where you put it in, but showings don't start for like 2 days or.
I think it's nice because it gives people it's not as stressful.
Mhm.
I think for my sellers, it gives the opportunity for more people to see that the house is listed. And and it also builds up that competition, I think, too.
Mhm.
Right.
What about you, Jen?
It's whatever works. I mean, I don't know that I tend to do delayed, showings to start date for mine. But sometimes it just, you want to get the listing in on Wednesday to time it for the weekend, and showings will start Friday instead if they're not quite ready yet. So.
Right.
The thing I advise against is giving it a week. Giving it more than a couple
Yeah.
days.
People
Oh,
forget
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, you lose. You get that most exposure in the first 48 hours that this hits the MLS, because emails are going out. It's hitting all of the search sites, Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, and all that stuff. So by waiting, a week, people have these short attention spans these days. So waiting that long, I think it loses impact. So
Well, and then at that point, when you look at days on market, people are like, "Oh, it's 7 days on market. What's wrong with this house?"
Right.
Which I never thought.
Do you,
A couple years ago.
do you even think that that's a thing, a consideration anymore?
these
on
days,
market?
I think it's
mean,
more. It is more.
I do.
Yeah, more is bad.
Because I feel like in this market, if your house isn't in contract,
In a week.
with the caveat of, I think higher priced homes are going to
Oh, they're not. Yeah.
They're gonna
yeah.
sit longer.
Right.
But if you're under 300,000 and your house is still sitting on the market in 2 weeks, something isn't
Right. And
quite
what
right.
what do you need to change? And
Right.
I mean, it could be something as simple as painting some walls or
Mhm.
some
Price
cabinets.
reduction. Ultimately, and Miss Reitz has my favorite line about that is that ultimately comes down to price. People may not care about those bright colored walls if it's priced right.
Right.
So I think the combination of condition, price, timing, all of those
Location.
things,
Condition,
location,
location,
absolutely.
always.
Yeah, I mean, if it backs up to a railroad tracks, that
Right,
might
yeah.
add some
Yeah,
obstacles and busy roads and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, and there, like you said, with the caveat, there's always some niche markets that will take longer
Mm-hmm.
or not. But
We're not.
Yeah.
Times when I would never recommend listing a house are like leading up to a family holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, big family holiday weekends where people are, you know, out of town or with their families. I would just skip that week altogether.
I just feel like anytime Thanksgiving, once Thanksgiving happens,
Right, people are
everything
so
kind of just hits a brick wall. Now, with that
It
being
really
said, there
does.
are still buyers out there, but it just, I mean, this year, in fact, it was like a brick wall Thanksgiving until the first of the year, and then everything picked up again. So you do have to take that into consideration. I mean, there are going to be buyers, there's going to be buyers, but not, it will be people with job transfers or someone that has to move, or you know, maybe someone that doesn't have a consideration of a school year that they have to factor in. It's just I think that is a more difficult time to sell.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
It does just seem like, boy, we hit the big snooze button,
Yeah,
you know, for a month.
yeah.
And
January,
And so those
people
days on
start to think
market
about
tend
it.
to, I mean, sometimes you'll see a longer days on market, and it's not necessarily due to condition, location, price, whatever. It may be just because you know,
Right.
the market that you're marketing to isn't out shopping right now.
Right.
So
And I think it's important to take.
Yeah.
I think it's important to take into account the house and who your target market is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're marketing a 3-bedroom Cape Cod that's 900 square feet, your market is probably an empty nester, someone who, you know, family's not a concern, because most people who have a kid or more are going to want more space than 900 square
Bedrooms
feet.
and 900 square feet.
Yeah, tiny bedrooms,
Is that
right?
possible?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've shown a lot of houses in Whitehall lately, and I'm amazed. Like, yeah.
IKEA.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, and maximize with tiny houses.
But you know, so consider your market, I guess is my point. You know, if you've got a 3,500 square foot house, you know, who do you think is going to occupy the house? They always say your buyer probably looks someone like you did when you bought the house.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about physical appearance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or any of that. I'm talking about, you know, what does your situation look like?
Right.
You know, my first home, you know, first time buyers, you know, young families, maybe they just have a baby or something, you know. So consider who your buyer is. And I think if your buyer potentially is someone that's buying for the school district or buying for the space for a big family,
Right.
you're going to want to time around school year. I think
Right.
maybe impacts when you list.
Right.
So, you know, in the late February, March,
March, April,
Kinda
May
works
are
out.
just the hottest.
yeah. But, well, I mean, and, you know, people start looking in March, you know, so it goes in contract in April, you got 30 days, kids are getting out of school. It seems like earlier now, like mid-May, you know, it seems like most kids are out of school, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, that April timeframe
Right.
to hit maybe in that situation is the best time, because
Because
then
then by
that's,
July,
yeah.
it slumps down again
It
because people are
does.
on vacation.
Yeah,
really
then there's
does.
that vacation slump. Right,
Right.
exactly. The summer.
It is a
summer
roller coaster.
vacation.
isn't it?
It does sound, I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, our business is seasonal. So there is no wrong time to list, but there are maybe better times.
Better.
Better,
That's a good
best
way to
times.
And that's what this is about, you know, finding those optimal times.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
Because if you need to sell, you need to sell. And
Yeah.
you know what? And that is the truest point, I think, of all of it. You know, is if you need to sell or there's a motivator for some reason, then that's going to dictate when you
Yeah,
sell.
and sometimes those slower periods can be more beneficial
Right,
for
because-
selling because there's less competition for you.
Mhm.
Not that, I mean, I think this year there's just been like no competition.
Well,
Last couple
absolutely
years,
right.
there's just such low
Absolutely.
inventory.
yeah,
I flipped the house,
tough.
you know, a few years ago, and it was supposed to be ready in like June. Well, June drugged to July, and July drugged to August, and I was freaking out because I'm like, oh my god, we're getting so late in the summer, you know, like what am I going to do? It's getting too late for this. And Sean, my partner, said, people buy houses every month of the year.
Yeah,
you know,
They do, that's
you know,
true.
so and I'm like, even me, you know, I think when you're on the other side of the coin, right, when you're the
Right.
seller,
right.
you know, you look at things a little differently. But he was right, and it sold, and everything was fine.
Right.
You know,
And we
so
can
don't
rate, yeah.
don't stress yourself over too much. But hashtag let's have that conversation.
Let's have
There
that
it is.
conversation. Works for everyone.
It does. So, but that's my 2 cents. What else? Is there any other important points? Things that we didn't think about
I
here?
don't have one on this. What are we talking about next week?
Next week is improvements.
Improvements and
No, it isn't.
Oh.
Oh, wait, no, it is. On the tight budget. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry. I was
improvements on the
thinking
tight budget.
inspectors. Next week, then we're talking about
Right.
inspectors
We
and
flow
that kind of
into
improvements.
from this conversation when you're getting ready to list your house.
Mhm.
What should you do?
What
What should you be doing? Yeah, what kind of improvements? But next week, yeah, is on a tight budget. Improvements on a tight budget. So we've kind of got a schedule.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise.
I know,
It was
we're
very
prepared.
taxing without it, and it's really blown us.
And
Because
some
now
of
we're
us-
like completely disorganized in other areas.
And some of us just missed the order of the topics altogether.
And that's okay. We kind of fly by the seat of our pants in here.
And, you know, I'm not used to planning.
No.
I'm a just go.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's one Wednesday. Everything goes.
Everything's better
Everything
with
goes.
plans.
Everything goes.
Everything sounds.
So next week, we may have a different time. We'll announce that in advance.
Mhm.
We're trying to experiment and figure out, you know, what times work best for people and how we capture, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the most of you who want to watch. So
Yeah,
if you have
because we always
if
do
you have a
like
suggestion, let us know.
And so, you know, we may be a different time next week, maybe a different place. You'll have
That
to
would be
tune in
fun.
and see.
We might be at the beach.
Surprises.
Maybe I'll be at the beach.
See, this is Wayne's playing, but I see the pants that everybody else is like. Anyways, well, I don't think I have anything else. Do you?
I don't know.